All right, we finished our small pumpkin, so now we are ready to start on our larger pumpkin. Okay, so for this one, we're going to basically start the same way. You're going to take your orange color pencil and you're going to lightly fill in the whole pumpkin. If it makes it so that you can't see your little lines that you've drawn on your pumpkin, you know, for your, you know, your lines here, which you can barely see the ones I've drawn in there for you. I'm just drawing them darker so you guys can see them, but I know where they're at. But if it makes it, don't you draw them darker. I'm just doing this so that you guys can see them, but when you're coloring it orange, if for some reason it gets to the point where you can't see those lines anymore, you don't need to draw them darker. You know where they're at, just leave them as is, because remember, we're going to be going back in with color pencil, and I don't want the black lines to be what's defining where your lines are. I want it to be, you know, the color pencil shading that you do that will define where those shadows are. Okay. I'm just going back in, just kind of trying to stay nice and even with it. I really don't want it to get too dark. This is going to be the lighter of the two pumpkins. There's going to be a lot of yellow in this. A lot of yellow, a lot of orange. It's still going to have some reds in it. My colored pencil is getting a little bit on the low side. Okay, I'm just going to get the rest of this. All right. Okay, so now I got a good base. So I'm going to go in next with my yellow. I'm going to work. Again, I'm going to work from left or from right to left, just because I know my left side is going to be my dark side, and I'd rather go lighter first because you can always fix that a lot easier. So I know over here, this is going to be my lightest one. It's going to have a lot of yellow in it. Okay. The light source is kind of beaming right on it right here. Okay. It's okay. All right, so you're going to go in and add your yellow, and then anywhere where there's a shadow on this one, it's just going to look orange. So it's going to be darkest right by the line, and then it'll get lighter as it comes out into that yellow. Okay, and that'll be good. And then again, it's going to be darker at the bottom because it is a three-dimensional object. So okay. All right, so that is the first little section of the big pumpkin. We're going to do the same thing. So this one, it's going to be lightest up here at the top, and it's going to be lightest on this right hand side. And I'm going to let it start to fade into the orange. So I start pressing lighter where I'm not pressing down as hard, so I'm not getting as much yellow showing up, and just let it fade into that orange. Okay. Okay, so see how it's really saturated here? It's really yellow. And then as we get down, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, and then it seems more orange. Okay, I'm gonna take my orange back, and I'm going to start doing orange darker over here by the shadow, by the little line that I created for the dents in the pumpkin. And then I let that orange fade into the yellow. Okay, just let it fade into the yellow. Okay, same thing down here. It's going to be darkest by the crease. It's going to fade out into the pumpkin. Fade out. Okay, and I'm going to let it get darker down here at the bottom here. I'm just kind of going over my line, so it makes it easier to not go outside your line if you kind of go over it a little bit. Don't want it to look like an outline though, so whatever darkness you get up to with your outline, then you need to get up that darkness with your shading so that it doesn't wind up looking like an outline, because we don't want this to look like a fake pumpkin where it's just kind of flat with a dark outline. We want it to look, you know, like it's got three-dimensional form to it. Okay, I'm going to go in with a little bit more yellow over here because it looks like a lot of white showing up, and I don't want this to get too dark over here, so that's why I'd rather go in with some yellow. Just going over top of some of the stuff I already colored. Since this is my lighter side of my pumpkin, I'm okay with going over top of even the darker, like the darker areas with the yellow, because it's just going to make it more of a, you know, saturated orange than if I were to just leave it. Okay, so that way it's not so pastel. I might have to do the same thing over here because I see how I'm getting like a lot of white still showing through, and I don't like that. I want it to be fully saturated. I'm going to pause for a color pencil sharpening.